Diabetes just sucks. Hi guys, welcome back to another video and another let's talk about diabetes video. Now, normally I am quite positive about my diabetes. I don't see a point in complaining that much about it because I have this condition and it's not going away anytime soon, so why whinge? Just get on with it. I've never said I suffer with diabetes. I just say I have a condition and I deal with it. Like, I don't want to let it define me, which, if you remember previously, is why I said I was reluctant to post videos about my diabetes in case that was a label that started to define me. But here is where I tell you a really scary story about what happened to me with my diabetes a while back. So in November, which ironically was Diabetes Awareness Month, I had a really bad scare with my diabetes. It was the start of November and I'd gone down to Derry for Halloween, literally like 2 days prior. Everything was fine. Halloween was fine, it was good fun. I came back home, like I travelled back down to Fermanagh, spent time with my family that weekend, and everything is fine until the Saturday evening. So the reality of diabetes is that it's not just around when you have to carb count for a meal, it's always there. And I just like stayed up, was watching TV with my mum and went to bed a little early because I had started to feel sick. Now, I entered into a low blood sugar at about 1 AM on Sunday morning. I treated it as normal and sat and waited for it to come up. Flash forward to 2 AM, my blood sugar is still low. It had dropped low enough that it wouldn't read on a monitor. Even when I was blood testing, it wasn't reading. I was so tired, I was like falling asleep, and it was really dangerous because if you fall asleep on a low, it's not a good chance of waking up. Like, the one thing they tell you about low blood sugars is do not fall asleep on those. So my blood sugar wasn't coming up. I had went through 3 bottles of Lucozade and a couple of Milky Way bars, which I know chocolate don't treat hypos with chocolate, but I was running out of hypo treatment. And I had funneled all of this sugar into me, and my blood sugar still wasn't coming up. Like, it was dire straits and it wasn't coming up. And then the sick feeling I mentioned earlier came in with a vengeance. I had to run to the toilet. I just threw up all of the hypo treatment that I had taken over the course of an hour and a half to try and treat my low blood sugar. And that was the first time that day I'd thrown up my hypo treatment. That alerted my mother that I was sick, and she came, and it wasn't a pretty sight. She had to disinfect the entire bathroom because it was not contained. It was horrendous. But that began the cycle of mum having to stay up with me because I was trying to fall asleep, and she was there to check blood prick my finger because I was just too exhausted to do it. She ran and got me water, more hypo treatment. She just sat with me, made sure I was warm, and even sacrificed her sleep so that I could nap. Now, I know I said on lows do not fall asleep, but my mother is a trained nurse. She is a registered nurse, and she would sit at the bottom of my bed to let me close my eyes for a few minutes, and she would shake me when it was coming time to check my blood sugar. So every 20 minutes I was every 20 minutes I was checking my blood sugar again and again and again. This continued as a vicious cycle until 6 AM, where I was taking hypo treatment. I was throwing it up again. I was just trying to bring this low up. But it's really difficult to bring up a low when the sugar you're trying to take to bring up said low you keep throwing up, which means you're still dropping your blood sugars because the hypo treatment does not have a chance to work. And I was getting panicky. My mum was getting ready to call an ambulance because my blood sugar was not coming up, and it had been a solid 5 hours of a low that was not coming up. So my mum, as a last resort before calling an ambulance, went downstairs and took the glycogen injection from the fridge that we have as a last resort. Now, this is what the glycogen injection looks like. It's meant to be a last resort. That is given to someone who is unconscious and is not waking up for a blood sugar. It is a pure sugar injection and it hurts. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't we use that earlier? And simply because we were trying all avenues. We were trying like glucogel and everything. We were like trying to get as much as a normal hypo treatment as we could. And the fact is that the glycogen injection is administered to someone who is unconscious and unresponsive, yet I was somehow miraculously still responding to everything around me. I was still able to check my blood sugars. I could still swallow, which means blood sugar should have been fine. My mom was very hesitant to like stab me with a needle, but at that point I kind of had to. So she injected me, and even through my like hypo-adult state and deprivation of sleep, I felt the pain of that needle, and I'm used to injections, but man, that hurt. And we waited and waited, and thankfully my blood sugar started to come up. Thankfully it returned to normal. I was really groggy, I was tired, but I just slept. I fell asleep, and my mum came in and just started and would scan and check my blood sugar throughout the night to let me have sleep. Well, I say throughout the night. It was 6 AM, throughout the day. So, the bloods are treated. You'd think I'd be fine, right? Right? Wrong. I was waking up every 20 or so minutes to throw up. I couldn't keep down water, couldn't keep down any food. If I wasn't sleeping, I was hunched over a toilet, or even over just a bucket at the side of my bed because I couldn't leave my bed. Bear in mind, I was meant to go back to Belfast to work a 9 AM shift the next day, and I was determined that I was fine. I was still gonna go to my shift and work. I was like, it's fine, it'll be a 24-hour bug thing. I'll be grand by the time my shift comes. So by 7 PM that day, I still hadn't kept any water down. Had slept most of the day, and I'd slept so much that my bones started to like settle, and it hurt to move. Like, it hurt to move anywhere. And I get that was the groggy after effects of the injection, because it was going to affect me. By 7 PM, this is the sorry state I was in, just sitting on a toilet. I had tried, because my sister had said that she would if I was still determined to go to work, she would drive me up to Belfast so that I could be pulled over and throw up if I needed to, or even if not, I wouldn't have to deal with a bus. And my mum's like, if you can keep a biscuit down, you can go. Because I was determined, I'm stubborn. But I made it halfway through a plain digestive biscuit, and I was defeated by this digestive. I could not keep that down. So at that time, we made the decision to go to A&E, because nothing was staying down. I was getting severely dehydrated because I was getting nothing into my system. I got assessed, was given anti-nausea medications so I could finally keep some fluids down. Took a sip of water, and like my relief when it stayed down, even though they gave me a tablet for anti-nausea, and it tasted disgusting. It was horrible. But I got it, went back out to the waiting room after I did a heart trace, and then I was seeing the doctor They assessed me and I was put on an IV drip of fluids. They were like funneling through a lot, but to try and rule out and try and figure out what it was, they wanted, like, you know, the standard blood test, urine samples and all. I was so dehydrated that I was like put on, like, I was having a fast drip flooding through my system of fluid, and I didn't need to pee by the end of it. Like, it took me a couple of days to need to pee again, which kind of showed how dehydrated I was. And luckily my mum came with me, as she was very much my spokesperson that day, because I was literally just so exhausted. I was just trying to fall asleep everywhere, so my mum had to explain what had happened, like that we didn't know how it had happened. All the while I was just curling up on her in the waiting room in a full set of Harry Potter pyjamas and dressing gown to match. So I don't know exactly what happened to cause all of that. I don't know if it was just a cold or flu that had gone bad, because it might have just been the vomiting bug which started causing my blood sugars to drop. The thing is, I didn't realise how scary this whole experience was going to be. I counted myself lucky because I had gone 10 years, I'd literally, the month beforehand, I'd literally had my 10-year anniversary about like having diabetes for 10 years, and luckily not having to be hospitalised or having any complications from it. And then this kicked off and it was terrifying, and I was scared to sleep in case I didn't wake up. And that's not me being dramatic, that's just me being honest. Diabetes is terrifying, and I know I put on a happy persona, well, not a happy persona, I am happy and I'm bubbly and happy, but I don't complain about my diabetes as much. Like, if I complain about my diabetes to you, know that I trust you to vent about it a bit. But even then, I kind of like lock in the worst parts of how I feel and how tough it is sometimes and how much I just want to give up, but I keep going. And I keep the terrible parts about diabetes to myself because I am so lucky. I could have it so much worse. I am lucky that it took 10 years for me to have a complication, and all I have to do, well, and all I can do now is just keep moving on. I can't just be knocked down and stay down. I have to just keep going because I can't let this defeat me. I'm still going to have diabetes by the end of the day, and that was just one obstacle on the road.